Okay, at this point, we've pretty much wrapped everything up. We started out with the goal of creating a very simple game. What we're going to do is provide an implementation of Casey Jones' game that he did in JavaScript in C#.
Right.
We did that. We add a little bit of extra to it here and there. And then we polished the game up a bit by bringing in some new screens, by bringing in some new geometry, giving it a bit of flair.
Sure.
And we've done that. The only thing I think we're missing, which I'd like to throw in there real quick before we wrap everything up.
Oh, there's more? I
yes,
have my code on.
I know. You're getting ready to walk out the door, but hang tight. That is making the game more difficult. The better you are, the harder the game gets. So making the game more difficult as the game progresses.
How are you going to make it more difficult? Are you going to give the asteroid shotguns or something?
No, that would be cool, actually.
Would be cool.
No, instead, how about each time you hit an asteroid, we increase their speed?
Okay, that would do it.
Now, if you recall, the asteroids have a minimum and a maximum range that determine their speed. So if we were to take the min and max range and just slide the whole thing up, we could even make it a wider range that both min and max grow, but the maximum grows by even more than the minimum does. Mm-hmm. So now it's a little bit more of a random feel for, am I going to get a really super fast one, or I still could get one that's relatively slow. But each time a player comes in and hits one of these asteroids, the next asteroid that is to come down the screen will be faster.
Gotcha.
So let's jump over into our code and set that up real quick. So taking a look at the enemy class, just a quick reminder that our min speed and max speed are both public. And with them being public, as long as I have a reference to the instance of this class on the enemy, I can access these guys. So where do we need to access them from? Well, the projectile is the guy that is responsible for determining that there was, or for reporting a collision between one of itself and the enemy. Mm-hmm. So when we get this collision, right now, once we determine that what we've collided with is an enemy, we then turn around and we get a reference to that script, because we use that to set the position and speed of the ship, so we don't have to retype all that code here.
Sure.
What if we were to just hold the reference at the very beginning? We could do that. And
because
then
we only have one enemy.
We only have one enemy. I mean, if we had multiple enemies, then, you know what, to be honest with you, I don't even think we'll do that. We'll just stick with this. But let me finish with what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And that is, I was simply going to move enemy, just by itself, up here and store it as a private field. Mm-hmm. And then I was going to turn around and in start, take enemy and grab the reference. You know what? My apologies. I'm going to do it. There's a reason I'm going to do it, because it allows me to show one more thing.
Sure.
Let me do this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and move it up. So this is going to be a private reference that we're going to hold to enemy. Now let me come down here to start and cut this entire line out, because we're not going to grab the reference down here in the on-trigger event, or excuse me, on-trigger enter event. Mm-hmm. Instead, in start, we're going to grab the reference. So let's paste it, and let's take enemy out right here. So there we go. That enemy is now being initialized right here in start, but we have a problem. Other object doesn't exist right here.
Right.
Other object was given to us by the on-trigger enter function.
So how do we get access to the enemy?
Now we need to find the enemy. But as Zach was saying a second ago, there's only one enemy. So that really works out well for us. So I'm going to turn around and use GameObject.find. And since I know the name of this guy, the GameObject itself is called enemy. I can simply say enemy, and it's going to find him. And then once it's found him, look at this. I can continue using dot notation to get the collider, get the component, enemy script.
So it's almost like an inline search.
Yeah, we found it, and then we just continue drilling down to grab the component that we want. We need to make sure that we still cast this over to an enemy, return that back. The reason is that our GameObject.find is going to return, as you can see here, a game object, but because of the .get component, we're not really returning a game object, as you can see. We're now returning a component, but we don't know what kind of component, and this is going to cast it over to an enemy component.
Right.
And we can only get away with this because we have one enemy. If we had multiple enemies, we really would have wanted to have left that line down in here. Mm-hmm. And it would have still worked all the same, because after we grabbed a reference to the enemy, then I could have simply come down and done what I'm about to do now, and that is increase our min and max speed on the enemy. I am going to do this before I call on the set position and speed. The reason is I want to make sure that the new speed that he's going to have takes into account these new min and max numbers. So I can simply reach into enemy and go to his min speed and increment it by a value of, let's just start out with maybe 0.5. I can do the same thing for our max speed, and I'm going to increment it by a value of, let's go with 1. So it's an even larger range there. I just want something that'll be noticeable. Then we can come in here and maybe back these off a little bit. So we're setting these min speed and max speed values before we set the position and speed. So when we set the position and speed back over here, we're going to be using the new speeds that have just been set. So we are actually reaching through inside of our enemy class, and we are increasing these values right here. So let's jump back over to projectile. Let's make sure we do a Control S to save this guy. Jump back, hit play, and let's see if we can speed him up. Yeah. Okay, well, I still hit him. Oh.
Yeah, he's getting a lot faster.
Yep. Okay, yeah, real fast there. I shouldn't have gone for that one. Hey, I was invincible. It worked in my favor. Yeah, and I win.
Nice.
Of course, we may want to go in there and change the 1,000 point cap on the game, but that's good enough for now. So we can hit one more time. Actually, let's have a lot of fun here. I want to increase by a speed of 1.2 to 1.9. So we can see that the game does indeed get harder real quick. And yippee-dee-dee. But darn it. And can I actually get up this time? Oh, 2 more. Oh boy, they are flying.
Nice.
Nope, just didn't work.
Yeah, I just couldn't pull it off.
So there you guys go. I think we've done a good job of polishing everything up. So now the game gets harder. Final thing I want to do here is just simply jump into my scenes, and let's just start it from the beginning. We'll make sure that this guy gets saved here. I'm going to maximize on play. Let's go ahead and start it off. Da-da-da, there's our game. Let's see. Before we go much further, we do have one warning down here, and I did say that I'd like to get rid of all of our warnings. So if I was to drag the console back over, you can see that this has taken place in our enemy file, and we're using one of those depreciated random range functions. So let's jump over here and get that out. So in enemy, let's come on down. I guess I could have taken a look as to where we were using it. And looking. There it is. So on X, let's just take out random and save. Jump back over and compiles. And if I drag over the console, and you can look down here, all warnings are gone. So now the game is nice and clean. Let's hit play. So there we are, space shooter. Press any key to start. Hit a key. And background is scrolling. We are destroying ships or asteroids, and they're getting faster. We have a score. We have lives. We're counting the number that we've missed. And now it's getting nice and challenging.
It's like it becomes dangerous just to get in line to.
This is where being invincible really works out.
Yeah.
Oh, and I hit the key already to start back over. But anyways, that's it. So I hope that throughout these videos, for those of you that are new to Unity, that you've picked up some things. I hope that you see just how powerful Unity is. It's very easy to come in and quickly prototype out a game, and then you can turn around and start polishing it, making it look really nice. And I'd like to thank you, Zach, for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. And there's several more things I would like for us to do in Unity. Again, we're gonna take this simple project, and we're going to present it again. And we'll start out with the students that I have in my small Unity class, and we're going to rebuild it, but it's not going to look anything like this as far as structure goes, because now we're going to handle everything through code.
Gotcha.
We'll still have game objects. Those game objects are still going to be driven by mono behavior, but we're going to put inheritance in the mix, and we're going to make things very interesting there. We're going to have a sound manager. We're going to have a game manager. We're going to have a game class. We're going to be using state pattern design. We'll be using a singleton. There's several different things that we're going to use, so it's a very nice look at how we could go about setting up a game for a larger scale production that will work quite easily with a group of people, a nice sized team. But with that, again, thanks a lot, guys, and that is going to wrap up these videos. Again, remember, if you are new to C#, don't forget, head on over to 3DBuzz.com, and we've got quite a bit of content over there that's absolutely free that you can find in the XNA class that applies to what you're doing here inside of Unity if you're working with C#. So with that, again, thank you very much, and that wraps up this series.
Thanks, folks.